All right. Hello, everyone. Slides visible. All right. Everyone, let me know if you're seeing the slides. All right, lovely. Hello, everyone. It makes me very, very happy to see all of you here. Thank you for taking the time to come out. And I would like to officially and personally welcome you to the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture's networking event, hosted by the Caribbean Aquaculture Education and Innovation Hub in collaboration with Duke Oceans and our guest speaker from the University of Florida's Whitney Lab. You can see our agenda here briefly for today. We're going to make a slight change just so one of our speakers, Maya Avril, can give a quick talk on some internships.
All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm here at the Cape Eleuthera Institute in the Bahamas. Sitting next to me here is Nico, who's actually one of our current interns this fall. So yeah, I just wanted to talk very briefly about the internship opportunities that we offer here. They typically run for about 3 months at a time, so basically a semester-long thing. We run 3 of them a year, so there's a spring, summer, and fall internship. Uh, it's hosted by our research institute. So we have a team of researchers here that do work in sustainable systems like energy systems, renewable energy. We have some work on sustainable food systems. So we have an agroforestry program, we have an aquaponics program, and a mini permaculture farm. And then we have a few marine science related research areas. So we have some work with mariculture as it relates to lobsters, conch. Started a little bit of seaweed farming when we're trying, but Bahamian waters are quite clean, so it's a little slower than other places. We also have a nice coral research program. So the Bahamas Coral Innovation Hub is actually located here at the Cape Eleuthera Institute. It's an initiative part funded by the Nature Conservancy and funded by the Pierre Institute for Marine Sciences. So yeah, there's a nice coral research program with both inland and ocean-based coral restoration efforts. We also have a shark conservation research team. We have a marine mammals research, individual, and we have, what else do we have here? So it's corals, it's marine mammals, we have sharks, diamond sharks, and yeah, and sea based, that's it. Right, so these are the main research areas that we have ongoing research happening here. And of course, there's a lot of overlaps between these programs. And also we do a lot of community outreach type initiatives. So the work that we do, we invite students, including the ones that are based at the island school, usually high schoolers, but also elementary and middle schoolers. But we also work with local schools and visiting schools that come in here. So our programs, research, community outreach, education, fusion. It's a really great opportunity for people who just want to figure out what they're trying to do in the marine science, aquaculture, conservation sphere of things. But also a good opportunity to get some experience with research as well as teaching and some social science interactions. So yeah, I will put a link in the chat if you want to see more about this on our website, and we invite as many people as are interested to apply. And this happens every 3 or so months. So if you miss one, you could always catch the next one as your schedule allows. The only requirement we really have is that persons are above the age of 19 and are either enrolled in or recently graduated from a university program, degree program, undergraduate that is. Although we do have some students here that just have like associate degrees or, yeah, associate degrees. So yeah, please share within your networks. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone's going to love the opportunity. Remember, guys, she's going to be putting the information in the chat, and I will make sure you get to see it now and a little bit later. So yes, My name is Matthew P. Rogers. I am one of the founding members and president of the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture. And I figured that since it's the first time many of you are attending one of our meetings or even hearing about us, I just want to give a brief introduction as to who we are. So the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture is an arm of the Caribbean Aquaculture Education and Innovation Hub, launched in March 2024. The Caribbean Aquaculture Education and Innovation Hub is a US-registered 501c3 or a nonprofit organization founded by Caribbean Aquaculture Scientists. It's the first of its kind in the region, bringing together a professional board of directors and an international science advisory board, composed of the leading Caribbean and global aquaculture professionals. It's a pioneering hub that unites science, technology, policy, business, and entrepreneurship to advance sustainable aquaculture in the Caribbean. A core goal of the organization is to integrate aquaculture into tertiary curricula across the region, offering new pathways for students like me, like us, in areas like life sciences, marine sciences, environmental studies, to enter the aquaculture sector, an area that's underrepresented currently in academic programming, despite its economic and ecological significance. You see, the hub recognized that aquaculture holds immense potential for the region to address problems like nutrition, food security, sustainable livelihoods, and marine conservation. But at the same time, it also has recognized that it's historically lacked a strong educational infrastructure and youth participation. And so to fill this gap, the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture was created as a mentorship and advocacy platform. We aim to help both young men and women, including high school seniors, those in agricultural programs, and those enrolled in undergraduate and graduate STEM, to connect with aquaculture professionals, farmers, business people, researchers, and of course, each other. Some of our aims and our goals and our objectives include things like local farm visits, educational development and training, funding support opportunities for students. Of course, a big one is mentorship, particularly for those young people between the ages of 16 and 26. Student exchange possibilities. We're aiming for conferences, including a Caribbean Aquacultural Conference, and of course, just generally promoting Caribbean aquaculture. And we hope, sincerely, that after today's session, you'll want to participate, connect, and support the YCA. And now I'm going to hand over the mic to allow some of our partners, collaborators, to introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us from Duke Oceans. My name is Dr. Bethany Russo. I'm the director for this initiative called Duke Oceans. It's with Duke University. For those of you who are not familiar with Duke University, it's located in North Carolina. We have a main campus, which is fairly broad in terms of the academic offerings, from a business school, the environmental school, law. There's a law school. There's also engineering school. And then we also have our Duke Marine Lab, which is on the coast, about 3-hour drive away from our main campus. I'll put a link in the chat to there because I think that that's where we are kind of looking at a collaboration between the hub and Duke Oceans, where we can really make some headway on part of your mission. The Marine Lab houses, I think, over 100 people in bunk beds, dorm room style. There's state-of-the-art equipment there. There's an aqua farm, a lot of faculty and students that could be very engaging and valuable for some engagement with students and members of this hub. So that's what we're kind of looking into. Duke Oceans in general is very similar into the mission that we're intending to connect and unify all the research, education, co-curricular activities that are happening at Duke University around the ocean space. So when we say oceans, we're including coastal, marine. We do have the aqua farm, as I mentioned. We work on a lot of sustainable fisheries. I'm personally a marine fisheries ecologist, but I do work in open ecosystem aquaculture as well. I also have founded a seafood brand, a business that honors and respects fishermen and community members who are aiming to access the seafood market at a premium price in exchange for more conservation practices and best management practices. So we have a lot of integration with sustainable entrepreneurship, oceanpreneurship, and policy work as well. So I feel like there's a lot of overlap between the Caribbean Hub and Duke Oceans, and I'm hoping that this could be the first of many opportunities that we can look into and maybe look for some joint funding to get some of the students from the Caribbean into the Marine Lab and do some educational programs. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat also the link to the Marine Lab. We also have Oceans Week every year, which I have in the link in the top of the chat as well. We're looking to do a program similar to this at Oceans Week, be able to really get some good exposure and some promotion for the Caribbean Aquaculture Hub, and hopefully build a really cool session that we can have a great exchange between students and faculty and stakeholders in general.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Stephanie. My name is Geresa, everyone. I'm so glad to welcome you guys to our first networking event. I'm going to take over for a little bit. We do have some other folks with us, Dr. Tiara Moore from Black and Marine Science, joining us as a special guest. So Dr. T, if you don't mind, just giving the audience just a small and a brief little discussion of what BIMS does and what your organization is all about.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. I am Dr. T, founder and CEO of Black and Marine Science, and I'm actually zooming in from my home in Belize. So I live in Placencia, Belize. I was able to, I don't know, flee, if that's the right word, of everything that's happening in the States right now. But also my wife is Belizean, so we have made a great home and community here to really expand what we're doing. So about BIMS, I personally am a marine ecologist, did my PhD at UCLA. And when I got up in the ranks, I didn't see a lot of folks who look like me, especially in the leadership level. And so around 2020, there was a lot of different things going on that really led to the founding of the organization to create space for the Black marine scientists that do exist in the field. And so the mission of the organization is to really just celebrate Black marine scientists in the field, but also spread environmental awareness, as well as, of course, inspire that next generation of scientific thought leaders, because we really want to create this pipeline of like, hey, you can be what you can see. And so through Black and Marine Science, we are really looking at the large scale of why don't we have a lot of folks in marine science in the field. And one of the things that we have seen is that there is a lack of swimming largely in the community. And so we started a swim program. You know, a lot of times people think that you just count us out like, oh, they don't swim, so they can't be marine scientists. Like, oh, well, you could probably just try and teach them, you know, like where's that part of it? You know, we go right to the research and right to the fixing of things without providing those skill sets. And so that's one of the core programs we offer at BIMS, BIM Swims, but we also do scuba diving. We've certified about 54 divers now, completely free of charge to them. We fundraise, get donations, get grants. We also run our BIMS Tidal Wave program, where we take students and actually professionals to scientific conferences. You may have seen us. We had a big cohort of about 50 scholars at the United Nations Ocean Decade meeting in Barcelona. So we was deep all in Barcelona. We had prime ministers coming up to talk to us because they hadn't seen that level of leadership diversity at these United Nations meetings. And so again, it really, for me, showed the impact that we were making on a very global scale. And then so our last core program is BIMS TV, and that is our YouTube channel, because we really want to increase ocean literacy wherever we can. So we have now about 300 episodes of marine scientists from across the globe just talking about the ocean. Why is it blue? Why is it salty? What's eutrophication? What's plastic pollution? What's a shark? So really making it accessible to anybody who does have an internet connection. They can just go subscribe to BIMS TV. And all of y'all should go and subscribe to BIMS TV. I'll drop the links. And then you can just watch our videos. We have literally made a whole weekend playlist now where you can just put it on the weekend and just learn about what's going on in our ocean. So again, we're looking at this problem of what is happening in the ocean, all the pollution, using our expertise, but really trying to bring the community along with us, because we see this as a huge scale problem that we need everybody involved in. So again, we're utilizing the power of just the marine scientists, our expertise, but figuring out ways, how can we engage with the community that's the most impacted? And so I think I just love this initiative the most, because what we're doing here is because we're talking about, the Caribbean. We know that these are the communities that are dealing with the impacts of the ocean, but we rarely see those folks in leadership. So how do we dismantle that? It's been some interesting conversations happening here in Belize about, increasing in the blue economy. We love putting phrases on things when we start talking about money, like how do we capitalize, if you will, on what's happening in the ocean? And for Belize, it's largely talking about tourism and getting people here and training the kids and hospitality management. And I'm like, oh no, we will not. Like, how do we get past looking at the Caribbean as this tourist destination versus this space where we should have the best innovation and the best technology? And so that's why I'm very, very excited about our other initiative, which is our BIMS Institute, which is where we really focus on research, technology, and innovation. We were able to bring on our first chief science officer about 2 years ago, Dr. Camille Gaines. She's actually in Kenya right now at the Western Indian Ocean Marine Science Meeting, doing a whole think tank on using environmental DNA in our research. So again, really trying to take the skill set that we do have and give it directly to the community at every opportunity we can. And so the BIMS Institute right now, we are virtual. Our whole organization is virtual, but we really have, a dream and a vision of having a real space, potentially in Belize, in the Caribbean somewhere, where we can have that hub to do this research, this innovation, and we don't have to always be leaving and going other places. We can actually build where folks live. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about being here. BIMS has grown so much in the past 5 years. We actually turned 5 in December. We're having a big celebration in New Orleans. I'll drop that link as well. But we have grown to 680 members across 34 countries. And so, again, I just want to highlight that the work we are doing is really trying to just bring everyone along on this large scale problem without leaving anyone out. So again, you don't know how to swim, we'll teach you. You don't know how to scuba dive, we'll get you certified, And I think that has been a huge issue with the marine science space. And it was my experience coming up in this field as the sole person that was kind of just token along. So how do we bring more of us so there isn't this token-based trauma experience, but we're actually uplifting leaders, and then we give them the opportunity to lead. So I think that has to be a very, very big thing as we're doing, as we're all working together, we're talking about this, and we're doing that. We don't want to just put more Black folks in the room, more Caribbean folks in the room. We want to have leaders and experts in this room. And this is not a checkboxing initiative. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, my last thing is our BIMS week. I have this up there. That's my team put it up here for me so I don't forget. We also host an annual conference. For the past, where we first started, it was virtual. Then we were able to have it in person. We had about 200 folks come. Last year we had it in person in San Diego. We had about 200 folks come. This year, because of funding cuts, because we can't just not do DEI over here. So yeah, that's just a whole nother story. We had to change our structure of our Black and Marine Science Week. And so we did 2 mini ones. We had one in San Diego just 2 weeks ago, and we have another one coming up in DC, but wait, it's also virtual. So all of y'all can attend. We are having a hybrid conference. So again, taking off those barriers of attending the conference and not getting the knowledge that we're going to create and being able to still experience it. So definitely check out Black Marine Science Week. I would say it's our best way that we come together. Of course, we have a good time because we're always lit. I think I have my Marine Sciences lit shirt. So, I live it, breathe it. But we also do a lot of workshops, a lot of professional development. So yeah, that's it. Thank y'all. Thank you, Geresa, for the invitation, and also a BIMS member. So I'm just so excited to see you just doing things, taking the charge. We build leaders. There's room for everybody. Everybody over here.
Thank you, Dr. T. You always bring so much joy into the conversation. Thank you so much. Yeah, like Dr. T says, yes, I am a member of BIMS. This is a photo of me at a conference they actually helped me to attend in New Orleans, and they do incredible work, and I encourage you guys to get connected and plugged in. They're incredible people. Okay, so we're going to transition into our internal YCA leadership. While I am talking, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce myself properly. My name is Geresa-Leigh, Geresa for short. I serve as our youth event and engagement coordinator. So the person sending you all those annoying emails and pings and messages on LinkedIn, that's me. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. That's me at Rockefeller Center, if you're familiar. But my parents were born in Trinidad and Tobago. They're from an area north of Port of Spain. But they frequently brought me back, and they would bring me down to the south of Trinidad to this area called Mayaro Beach. And that's a picture of me of about 5.5, 6 years old. And it's funny enough, that is the literal moment when I decided I wanted to be a marine biologist. At 5 a.m., my mom dragged me out of bed and dragged me down to the beach, and the tide had gone out, and there was obviously tide pools and lots of different crabs and clams. We call them chip, little crabs in the sand, and clams, and I just fell in love. And from that moment, I was hooked. So for the next 10 years or so, I spent chasing after marine science. I didn't know where I could, get to it. Being from Brooklyn, New York, it's not really a common profession. But when I turned 17, I had the opportunity to go to college. I attended SUNY Maritime, which is a state university at Maritime, traditionally a merchant marine, like sailor university. I didn't do that. I went into the marine environmental science program where I minored in marine bio. These are just some photos from my undergrad thesis, where I was doing something called a paleoclimatology study. So essentially, we use these little microcrustaceans called ostracods as a way to hindcast or paint a picture of what was going on with hurricane frequency. So I basically spent that summer digging through dirt samples, like they were sourced from the Bahamas, Rum Key, Bahamas, to be specific. And so we use that as a way to discuss how hurricane frequency changed over the past few decades, as a way to inform us how climate change is impacting atmospheric occurrences. And then I graduated in 2020, the height of COVID. And then from that moment, I was like, I didn't have enough. I want more. I'm still hungry and I need more experience. And I've always loved fish. I loved charismatic megafauna, but I was still not really sure where it is I fit into marine science. So I then attended Stony Brook University out on Long Island, where I ended up, I did a lot of field work, me and my little waders, but I did a lot of trawling, a lot of really dirty hands-on work, which I really loved. But I spent the next 2.5 years obsessed with these little guys. These are called winter flounder. And essentially, I used my time looking at how variation in their subpopulations are reacting to climate change. So if you're familiar with the Northeast, a lot of cold water species are kind of not going extinct, but extant is another term. And a lot of these population numbers are dwindling. So my thesis was focused on figuring out how these subpopulations react to climate change in response to one another. And that was the title of my thesis. And like Dr. T mentioned, I got the opportunity to go down to New Orleans and present my work at different conferences. I did a flatfish conference. A lot of folks really in love with flatfish in Connecticut. So that was a really great experience. But what I really got from that is the power of networking. So I met a lot of folks from across the board, NOAA, engineering folks, socioeconomic researchers. And that is where I realized that networking is the key to expanding and growing, especially in a field like this. And then in 2023, I graduated. I graduated with my master's, and then for some reason, I decided to move to Florida. Very different environment than I'm used to. But now I work here at the University of Florida Whitney Lab for marine bioscience. And we're based in St. Augustine, Florida. So if you know where Jacksonville is, we're just south of there. I work as an aquaculture technician. This is a very dirty, even dirtier than I was used to with my master's. Very dirty, very hands-on, very physically demanding job, but I am having a lot of fun. I will tell you that. I have been able to apply everything that I have learned in my 6.5 years of research to my job today. And it is so much fun. It is so much worth it. I have decided that I'm not finished torturing myself with school, and I am applying to PhD programs coming up in fall. where I'm thinking of being able to study marine diseases as a way to prevent disease in brood stock. So that's just me, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to give Matthew back the floor just to introduce himself and his kind of background. Yeah, fingers crossed.
Always very, very impressive, Geresa. As I said, my name is Matthew Pierre Rogers. I am one of the founders of the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture. I'm a Jamaican, born and grown. I did my undergraduate degree at UWI Mona, majored in marine biology, minored in economics. After that, I did an internship with the amazing Discovery Bay Marine Lab. Cannot recommend them enough, especially for my upcoming marine biologists. And after that, like Geresa, I decided I was not done torturing myself with school. So I went back to UWI for graduate research. My thesis is on determining which of Jamaica's local endemic seaweeds have the most potential for cultivation, because not only is seaweed one of my interests, but I'm Caribbean at heart. I want to see us prosper. I want to see us using what we have, natural resource wise and people wise. To that aim, I've done a couple seaweed projects with startups aside from my research, and I have had some amazing mentors through the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture. One of the founders, Dr. Russo, absolutely amazing, was one of my first mentors when I was figuring out how I wanted to move on from my undergrad degree. And it's that mentorship like that that helped to bring me to where I am right now, and why it's so important for me to give back and try to connect people to that mentorship or be that mentor if I can. I don't want to say for the next generation, I'm not that old, but for those who are coming behind me. Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Bethany, who serves as YCA's secretary. Bethany, are you there? There you go.
Alright, hello everyone. So my name is Bethany Dean. I am the secretary for the Youth in Caribbean Aquaculture. Currently, I work at the Alligator Head Foundation, where most of my work has to do with coral restoration. We're also getting into mariculture. It is a slow start because we want to make sure that we are doing it right. But we're looking into seaweed farming, particularly Irish moss, as well as looking into cultivating different species like sea cucumbers. I did my bachelor's at UWI alongside, well, Matthew was actually my mentor at UWI. But I did my degree in marine biology with a minor in general chemistry. After that, I went on to do some consultancy work. Actually, I got to work alongside some persons in consultancy, and then I ended up at Alligator Head Foundation. I am currently still sleep deprived because we recently had spawning dives for collecting coral gametes. So I have babies in the lab and it has been quite tiring. But thank you all for coming, and I look forward to engaging with you guys some more.
Thank you, Bethany. Yes, so our leadership is currently employed as individuals in aquaculture, and like Bethany said, we try and mentor one another. It's a collaborative effort. So we're looking forward to getting to know more of you guys. And so that's my next hope, that we can get maybe like 3 or 4 folks to just give us a brief introduction to ourselves, because it is a networking event in the spirit of networking, just so we get to know, what's going on, where are you from, what your interests are, just so that we can get an idea of who we have with us today. So if anyone is willing, could you please just let us know some of this information about yourself?
Anyone just want to raise their hand and talk? Don't be
Okay.
shy.
Julie, maybe I'll jump in because I was getting ready to log off. I've got to run to another meeting. Maybe I should just jump in and say hi.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sure. Nice to meet everybody. Mike Schwartz. I'm on the Science Advisory Board for the Hub. Director of the Virginia Seafood AREC located in Hampton, Virginia, part of Virginia Tech. past president of the World Aquaculture Society and U.S. Aquaculture Society. Just here to support all the initiatives that you all are representing in youth development. We have a significant internship program, international, that we've been running since 2006. We have about 300 interns from about 20 countries that have come through so far. We have free housing and accommodations. Our programs run the gambit of controlled environmental agriculture, hydroponics, aquaponics, freshwater, brackish water, marine, finfish, invertebrates, crustaceans, warm water, cold water, all the capacities. We have AI, machine learning, and robotics in aquaculture, strong programming in seafood quality, safety, and engineering. We have multiple labs, BSL-2 labs, etc. I put a link to the Seafood AREC in the chat box. And yeah, just here to support, help where we can, and advance initiatives. I do a lot of work with intergovernment agencies, academic and industrial development, done a lot of work around the world with USDA, FDA, and good aquaculture practices. A lot of advisory boards for venture capital groups around the world, moving different aspects of aquaculture, extractive aquaculture, etc. So yeah, just wanted to join for a little bit. Very nice to see all the wonderful and exciting young faces. Think of us as a resource. Again, I put the AREC link there. Please feel free to reach out anytime, anything we can do. I'm here to help grow the hub. I'm here to help grow youth. So use me as best able for yourself, your interest in your programs, and I'll finish with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Rosalind, did you say you wanted to raise your hand?
Oh, okay. Just to introduce myself, I think I'm the only one on the call from Panama. Is anybody else here from a Spanish-speaking country? Well, I see Adriana Munoz. We have a sea cucumber hatchery on the Caribbean coast of Panama, only 2 hours outside of Panama City. And just to put it out there, Panama is a really great place to perform aquaculture and pursue aquaculture. The government is very friendly. Getting permits are fairly simple. We have a Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute in Panama, which is quite helpful for data collection. The scientists are very collegial. And we have a marine university here. So if Panama ever crosses your radar, please look me up. I dropped my name in the chat, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So I hope to keep the conversation going with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is anyone else interested in just doing a small introduction?
I can do
some-
one.
Oh yeah, please. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, this has been a pleasure. The enthusiasm is very exciting. Glad to be here. My name's Callie Kirkendall. I'm with the Blue Atlas Project. We're a small NGO based in the US who's done some work primarily in the Bahamas, a little bit down south in Grenada, and then also we're now doing some work in Jamaica. So we work with agriculture fairly standard post-disaster, so helping to reestablish farms in a more climate smart way. I was introduced to the hub and Dr. Julie through one of our shared board members, Maya. And yeah, so we're looking at designing a project in Jamaica, and actually I think Matthew, we're set to potentially work together in the near future with some seaweed demonstrations. But yeah, so just happy to be here. Happy to lend a hand any way I can. Happy to strategize. What I primarily focus on is fundraising. So that is, never the most exciting side, but the necessary side of a lot of this. So yeah, please feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions, and we'll see what we can do in the coming years.
Thank you. Thank you. I think what would be really helpful is like if folks don't feel necessarily as comfortable speaking up in the chat, if you don't mind leaving like your LinkedIn or some information where we can find you and connect in the chat, that would be lovely. Anyone else before I move on? But thank you.
Ooh,
sorry. Thank you. I think this has been a wonderful start. But let's keep moving. So,
Hey, Teresa, somebody has their hand up.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
My
I would
yeah.
love to introduce myself briefly if I could.
Yes, please. I'm sorry. I can't see everyone. Let me open my thing. Please go
It's
ahead.
all right. That's why I got you. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Cece, and I'm currently spearheading a research expedition where I will be sailing from Florida through all the Caribbean countries or the Caribbean islands down to Trinidad and Tobago with the intention of interviewing mariculture farmers and sort of learning more about what they're growing, how they're doing it, what kind of support they need, what kind of challenges they faced, things like that. And we'll be creating sort of a document or resource that we can hopefully share back with those farmers to collaborate with one another on, you know, what crops have been successful and what hasn't, and everything along those lines. This is an idea that was actually inspired by a conversation I had with Dr. Russo maybe 2 years ago now, as I wanted to get into mariculture in the Caribbean. And I was like, well, how can I do that? And she was like, well, it's really new and there's a lot we don't know. So we need to learn more. And so that's what the plan is. But I would love to get in touch with anybody who is in the Caribbean who will be along my routes that I can talk to and just interview and learn more perspective about, you know, how the community views mariculture, how people are being inspired by it or otherwise. And if you could get in touch with me if you'd like to talk, I would love that. I'll leave my information in the chat. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else? I would hate to skip anyone. No?
Hi everyone.
Where? Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, my name is Dr. Sokema from Kenya. Nice to have I've been following your subscriptions. So I saw that you had a meeting today, so I thought I should join and hear what you sharing. Nice to see Mia Avril. I was almost joining you at the Caribbean, but things were not really well as I planned to. Actually, currently I work with the wild fish in Kenya under the integrated monotrophic aquaculture. So hoping to learn from each other. Cheers.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you for everyone's contribution. It's been so lovely learning about the community. Let's just transition a little bit. Since we are going to be talking about our specific area, the Caribbean. Our discussion today will be focused on current events in Caribbean aquaculture. So I'm sure you all are very familiar with this very iconic species, the red snapper. These are just some short videos I've taken at work here. But let's move on. Oops. So just to put this conversation in a regional context, if you are not familiar, the organization CARICOM is this sort of intergovernmental agency amongst all the Caribbean or most of the Caribbean countries. And they have designated an initiative that's been coined the 25 by 2025 initiative. And this is a push to reduce the import of agricultural products, specifically protein, so fish, into the region and cut that spending bill by about $6 billion is the figure that they've quoted. As it stands, the current cultured species in the Caribbean revolve around tilapia, freshwater fish species, shrimp, mollusks, and as Matthew and Bethany have mentioned before, and some other folks have, sea moss and seaweeds are a very common species of interest. But what is kind of missing from the region is this diversity of species that are cultured with regard to finfish. So it's more common you'll find among Latin America that you'll have marine food fish as a cultured species. And it's not as common in the Caribbean. And I know in a lot of journals and a lot of conferences, the Caribbean and Latin America often are smushed together. But it is important to remember the Caribbean is its own region and has its own special interests. And so a lot of different agencies have looked into sort of fulfilling this gap in what's going on in aquaculture. So that's where we move towards discussing FAO and their initiative to bring marine finfish aquaculture to the Caribbean. So their goal was to diversify the species of aquaculture of finfish in the region. And their two species of interest were red snapper and red drum. And these are just some videos from here at Whitney Lab, some of our brood stock. But here in Florida, these are really important species. You know, red drum is a really big recreational fishery as well as commercial, and everybody is very familiar with the red snapper, just an iconic species. Very striking and very desirable food fish. And that is where we're going to start moving into our guest speaker. So FAO decided they would enlist the help of Dr. Leonardo Ibarra Castro, who's actually my boss. Dr. Leo, are you there? Yeah, I see you. So Dr. Leo actually was a big part of this program where we did this collaboration with FAO to bring red snapper aquaculture to the Caribbean. Just as a background, Dr. Leo has over 20 years of experience with marine food fish production. As you can see, he's worked with like over 25 species, I think he said. But he did his PhD in aquaculture at CIAD Mazatlan. Did I pronounce that properly? And then did a postdoc in Australia. He did one in Texas, where he focused and honed in his interests on reproductive biology specific to aquaculture. So Dr. Leo, please, let's just give him a round of applause as we welcome him as our guest speaker. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, Dr. Leo. I think you should be able to share your slides.
Okay, thank you, Geresa. How I can share my presentation?
Share, you should be allowed to. Is it working for you?
Let me see. It's not working.
Ooh. Okay, try now. Sorry, folks.
Okay.
Try again.
Yeah, I just changed it.
Let me try.
There we go.
Can you see now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, let me see. Can you see in the big screen already?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go.
Okay. Thank you so much for this invitation. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and it's going to be my pleasure to show what we are doing here with the red snapper. And as Geresa said before, this is part of the CARICOM project with Jamaica, FAO project. And I have been working with some around five years here in the Whitney lab. And I was working in Mexico before to coming here with marine fish aquaculture all the time. And my experience with different species had been with around 6, 7 different species in the Pacific Ocean and 2 in the Atlantic Ocean. However, I think all of these different protocols had been developed for Lujanus guttatus in Mexico. This species was, I think, my biggest teacher because I was working with this species in the master degree, in the PhD, and my job when I started to work as a PI was breeding and produce juvenile about this species. And I think even now that I have the experience working with more than 25 different marine species, I think this one is the most difficult species to grow out, and especially the larvae. If we want to work or we want to develop a marine aquaculture technology, especially with marine fish aquaculture, we need to have different stages. And you can see here, the first one, we need to have a control in the breeding process. The second one, we need to be able to handle in the larval phase. And we have the live production that is so important in the marine fish aquaculture, in the nursery phase, the grow out, and the harvests and commercialization. When we have all of these, we can say that we have a technology. If we miss some of these, we don't have a technology because it is very difficult to put all the pieces in the puzzle at the same time. And believe me, I have been involved in different projects, and put all the pieces together is the most difficult part. Okay, what we have? We have this red snapper. In my tank is a 95 cubic meter tank, and we were working with this batch of the red snapper for 3 years before, and I was worried because I had the experience working with the snapper, and I was expecting to get the spawn early, at least 1 year after that we put in the captivity. But this species, or especially this fish, were for 3 years before to get this spawn. And this season was really amazing because we have spawn from April to July. And what's amazing, we had more than 50 different spawns, and we were trying to understand how the larvae grow and making different experiments with the embryo developed, especially because the first time that we need to understand when we are trying to make a marine fish aquaculture or larval rearing process, how we are going to handling the spawn first. Usually we collect the egg when they are closing the blastopore. The blastopore means, can you see the mouse? The blastopore is around here. And when the blastopore closes, we can handling, we can harvest, we can treatment, we can move the egg, we can seed, etc. Because after that, we have different process, and is when the embryo start to grow and the muscle synchronization, the heart. And you can see here, this is the perfect stage when they start to moving and when we start to see the nervous system. And then at least 3 or 4 hours before to hatch, we can see how the heart start to moving, and all the circulation process system in the larvae is start to working. And the hatching process is very important because we need to be sure that the batch of the eggs uh, are going to hatch as close as possible together, because when we are trying to make the grow out and the larval rearing specifically, we don't want to have a very high variation because the larvae from marine fish are very cannibalistic. As far they hatch each other, we are going to have a very high variation in the size after in the culture, and that is going to be a big problem because we can lose maybe 80% of the larvae that we have at that time just for cannibalism. And one of the main goal for us here is try to check exactly when they start to hatching, like this one, and at least for how long we are going to have 80% of hatch of the larvae. Usually we don't spend more than 3 hours, because if we have more than 3 hours during the hatching process, that means that the egg quality specifically for that spawn is not going to be good to try to raise the larvae. And when they hatch, we have two things. First, the larvae, when they hatch, they don't have anything. And you can see the first picture, the larvae is adding everything to the larvae, and then from 48 hours later, the larvae develop everything to be ready for the first feeding. Visual systems, intestine system, locomotion, the eyes, the mouth, the jaw, etc. And um, why we are very careful with all of these values or variables that we are checking during the embryo develop, because for example, usually when these red snappers start the spawning season, they were spawning that color of the eggs. And in my personal, I really don't like to work with this kind of the eggs, because it's it's a quality that using in the more in the appearance I don't like, because the diet is making some problem with the eggs, and we are going to have very high mortality at first feeding or before to first feeding or during the embryo develop. But when we make some modification in the diet, we can have this color in the eggs. That means for me, this is the best color that we can have in the eggs. And the larvae or the larval rearing process is going to be a little bit easy, but this species is not easy. It's very difficult to grow red snapper species. Basically, the color of the oil droplet is a little bit pink, and that is the red, small red color that we see in the eggs is the oil droplet. And you can see the embryo, how they are a little bit better in the pigmentation, and all of them in the same stage of the embryo development. This is the hatchery. It's very small hatchery that we have here in Whitney. What we have inside this small hatchery? Inside the hatchery, we have two single 2 cubic meter tank for the larval rearing. We have here three small 100-liter tank for the enrichment process. We have the water intake, all the filter system that we have here. We have here the rotifer culture and the Artemia culture. Everything is there. It's very small hatchery, but very high productive. And we use all the products that we have in the market, the algae paste to grow the rotifer, the enrichment for the rotifer. And we use the enrichment for the Artemia. And we use chloram to neutralize the ammonia in the rotifer culture. Usually, this is the bucket that we use in the fridge, and we feed in the rotifer in a high density. Usually, we are handling 2,000, 3,000 rotifer by meal in our culture. And that is the way how we harvest. That is the rotifer, how they look. And this is the enrichment process. After around 18 hours, we have that quality of the rotifer. We have naupli, Artemia naupli. We have metanaupli and dry food. We don't use another source of live food for the red snapper. Usually, all my experience with all the over 25 different marine species have been working just with rotifer and Artemia and dry food. In dry food, we are using otohime, imbe, and excretin. During the process, always we need to be close to the develop in the larvae from the embryo to the juvenile. And usually every week we are checking, but usually every other day we are checking the larvae, because we need to know how the larvae is growing, how they are moving, and the most important, how healthy they are. And if you are observing constant the process of the larvae, you are going to understand how many things you need to change every day, every single day during the culture. This is when they hatch. This is a red snapper when they hatch. You can see how they don't have very well pigmented the eyes, the mouth is closed, the anus is closed, and they have only the oil droplet and the vitellus. 24 hours, you can see how they change drastically, but still they have some remnants in the nutrients, endogenous nutrients. You can see at the opening stage, 58 hours, and you can see how they open already the mouth. The eyes are very well pigmented. They have the intestine, and they are ready to eat. And this is the mind or the principal state. How you are going to focus, or what is the most important thing? You need to match the size of the rotifers in in the larvae, because usually these larvae have the characteristic that they have a little bit small mouth, but you need to be sure that the rotifer that you are going to use for this species is right for the feeding larvae. We have different options. For example, this small rotifer is Proales similis, and you can see here together how they look, the difference. Usually Proales similis is around 45 microns to 75 microns. And now we are using the Brachionus, is Brachionus rotundiformis, S type. And the most important for us is try to have different sizes in the food. If you have high fecundity like this rotifer, you are going to have at least 3 or 4 different sizes of rotifer in the larval rearing culture tank. And the other thing is that we need to check the larvae and see if they have, for example, these larvae have very well liver, the swim bladder, and you can see the intestine, anterior, medium, and posterior. The contraction in the intestine is so important, but the wall in the intestine is another indication that you have a very well and healthy larvae during the fair feeding process. Because at the end, you want to have a very well feeding larvae full of rotifer. That is the most important that you need to be care. And you can see the small larvae at day 7. This is how they look in the culture tank. And if we can see in a close, that is the larvae at day 7 is a little bit bigger, not too much, but is a little bit bigger and strong, a little bit strong larvae. They finish all the reserve from the mother. Now they depend everything from exogenous feeding process. And the pigmentation process, the muscle, and everything is developing right in the larvae, and you can make a little bit close everything, and you can see the quality of the intestine, the develop the organogenesis. That means this larvae can make it. And here at day 7 is when we decided if we continue or we can throw away everything. You need at least 60-70% of this quality of the larvae if you want to continue the culture of this larvae, because if you have less than that, you are going to have so many problems later with the larvae. At day 15, you see how they change drastically. They develop already the fins and the swim bladder, final inflation of the swim bladder. They are already in preflexion. And you can see in the pan how they look at day 20. And at day 21, you can see this specific larvae. The difference between the other snapper larvae is the pelvic fin, the pectoral fin. You can see how long they are. Can you see? And that is very difficult because the spine in the top, in the fin and in the dorsal fin is big. In the pectoral are big too, and that is a very high problem when you are working in a high density or trying to work in a high density with this. And even at day 27, and they finish already the metamorphosis, they are already in post-flexion, and they still have very big the fins. And this is the juvenile at day 35 with a little bit scale already, and the final at day 42 when we harvest the juveniles. How we move? Usually we move with the net, we put in a bucket, we wait, and we move. Usually we can move between day 28 to 35. And this is how usually in the market or in the commercial scale, how we work with the different snapper species. This is the perfect size to move. to the cage between 5 to 10 grams. If you can do that, because you can be very efficient in the transport, but when they start to grow, you are going to have a little bit more problem doing the transport. And usually in Lujanus guttatus, that this is the juvenile, we move it at this stage, or a little bit bigger, but it's going to be more problem when we move the fish bigger than this. Here in Whitney, we harvest at day 38 because the cannibalism process was so high in this species, and we moved in a big tank, 40 cubic meter tank. And it's very impressive how this species, after 45 days, they start to grow so fast. And you can see how they very curious, and they jump to your face because they want food. They want to eat. If you feed in all day, they can eat all day. And this all the preparation for the transport to Jamaica that we made. And when they received there, the son of the picture. And here is an example how we are trying to make the integration. You need to have the broodstock area very well defined. All of this installation is in Mazatlan, Mexico, where we develop all the technology for different snapper species. And this is the broodstock area, the larval rearing area, and the nursery area, and the grow out, that we test all these to have the final product that we want to have. This is only an example, the final ready for the market. And that is how they look in the case, how you handle it, how you feeding. At the end of the process, they are so friendly, so curious, and they are not scared about you anytime. And all the team that we were working in the project, Geresa, Karen, Josue, myself, and one more technician that was working with us that now is no more here. And all the social media, if you want to have more communication with us. And that's it. Thank you so much. If you have any question, I will take the question.
I think Julianne has a question.
Thank you, Dr. Leo. That's so interesting. My question to you is, we don't have, in Jamaica in particular, say an aquaculture course. And this is what we are trying to do, is to, engage students and let them learn about the possibilities. But this looks very, very detailed, complicated. What kind of training do you think? How long does it take to learn this? And what kind of training would students need to get to this point? You have your PhD, Geresa has her master's. Many of the students on this call, some are high school, some are bachelors. What kind of training would they need to learn? If you're going to teach someone, what level of education do you think they should have?
When you have a little bit passion to work with fish, you need to have a common sense, because the most important here is that you are going to try to have alive everything. And the basic, you need to know water quality, how to handle in water quality. You need to know about the system. What is the system that you are going to work with in your facility? And I think with the biology in general, with all of that, I think high school level, you can have very good technician when they really want to work in aquaculture. And when you have a bachelor degree, master degree, or PhD, I think it's a different focus when they are working in aquaculture. But I think for the Caribbean, the first thing that you need to have is a center there and develop the people there, because you are going to work with your water quality, with your temperature, salinities, and availability of different equipment that you need. And you need to know how faster you need to move if you have a problem. And for example, if we have a problem here with a snapper, we call, and 5 minutes we have maybe the pond, maybe the some food, maybe another component that we need. But if you are working in the island, for how long you are going to wait to get something to repair something? That is the difference. And that is exactly, it's going to be similar but not same. And that's why if you want, or you are trying to train people for aquaculture, you should train the people there in the Caribbean, because they are going to know the water quality, the bacterial, the parasite, the temperature, etc., etc. The
So
people,
you've listed off quite a few topics. So you're looking at students having to learn biology, chemistry, environmental science, engineering, putting together all of those systems. So essentially what we're trying to say is that aquaculture is partially STEM subjects, right? We would like to have more students that are studying sciences to kind of learn what you're, because you showed us a lot of biology, a lot of, detailed science. So technically, more students should be, engaged in science that want to do this.
now I think, because when I'm talking with some colleagues, they say, Leo, your work is so technical. And sometimes it could be technical, but have a lot of background in science behind, because you need to know how to handle in nutrition, endocrinology, physiology, and you need to know how to handle in molecular biology tools applying in aquaculture. And but you need to have the hands-on, because you are working with your fish and you need to keep alive the fish, and you need to know which is the best time, which is the best piping that I need to do, and how I'm going to handle in this in an open, in a flow through on a recirculation system. And you need to know equipment, what kind of the equipment is the best to make this, and engineer processing.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, because all depend what the person wants to do in this field, and this field is multidisciplinary, and why they want to know. That's why when my students come to me, my first question is, what do you want to know? Because it's a big,
Yeah.
and the next question for them is, what do you want to be in the future? Research or private companies? In that way, I know what I need to teach them, or what I need to be more focused with him or with her.
True.
I think we have another question. Delan, am I pronouncing your name properly?
Hi, good day. Yeah, name is Dylan. I would like to know what is the growth period from fingerling to I would figure harvest. That stage I estimate about give or take 2 years. So I'm just speculating here. And just
Uh,
a note I would like to add to the children who are looking about agriculture, you have to be passionate about it to really begin to understand it. Thank you.
and Dylan, sorry, but I can understand very well. Geresa, can you help me? Because I know understand.
So the question was the growth period from larvae to fingerlings? Was that your question?
No, no, from fingerling to harvest time.
Okay, yes, yeah. Fingerling to your grow out size.
Okay. All depend what size you are going to sit in your cage. If you put, we can say 20 grams, and if you are working with Lujanus campechanus, maybe you are going to have 800 gram in 10 months. But if you are working with Lujanus guttatus, you are going to have only 400 grams in 14 months. All of them grow different.
Okay, fair enough. And next question is there any upcoming or proposal to collaborate with Caribbean individual on the said Red Snapper project as it extends to the Caribbean?
In 2 weeks, is October 6th, I'm going to give and complement this presentation for the CARICOM and FAO project. And you can talk with the FAO and another guys that are working in the Caribbean. But now we are working with FAO, and the most important here is show them that it's feasible to do all of this. You can do it if you have the facility, if you have the place, you can do it. It's something that you can do it. But I don't know how they are going to handling the connection, or how the FAO with the government in the Caribbean are going to handling all of this.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
We also have a question from Nicholas Lemon from Norway. Dr. Leo, how different is the larval survival between rose and red snappers? Is there variation in the survival rates between those two?
Hi, Nico. I'm happy that you be here, Nico. Nico was working in Martech Industries in Costa Rica when I was doing my advice to that company. And when we start to work there, the survival in the larval rearing was a big issue because they were working with around 5%, but 5% to 1 or 0.1% in production between 30 to 80,000 by month. And after 4 years working hard and new people like Nico working there, they increased the production for 1 million a juvenile every month and 30% survival. I would like to have 30% survival in Llullanus guttatus and Llullanus campechanos, but we are going to know exactly how we can improve and what difference we are going to have between them next season. Because this season, Nicole, the eggs quality in the rest in Llullanus campechanos, since my point of view, was not good enough. And I think for the next year is going to be better, and in that way, we are going to know exactly what is the real potential in the larval rearing process. But this is my second round with them making juveniles. And now we have 2%, and the first round was 10%, and I think can improve a little bit more. It's going to be better than Llullanus guttatus, I think, because the larvae is a little bit bigger.
Anybody else have any other questions? Just to tag on to what we were talking about a little bit before this, about how when you're working in aquaculture, you wear a lot of like different hats. Like when I was doing my master's, like we built the system from PVC ourselves, and I had no idea that plumbing was such a large part of it. And I can speak from experience, like I've watched Dr. Leo work, and every other, what was it, last week we were fixing a valve, we were messing with the pump. It's a lot of different applications. And then that's like the technical side. And then when it comes to research, if that's also your interest, I mean, Dr. Leo's PhD student is working in nutrition because that's a really important part of aquaculture. You know, I'm interested in diseases. There's a lot of people looking at like socioeconomic impact of this kind of work. So there's a lot of implications. So I'm not sure if, you know, anybody else has any other thoughts that are similar to that. But it's definitely the truth that aquaculture is a really big and wide field, bigger than I had initially expected it to be. Well, if you guys have any other questions for Dr. Leo, you can just leave them in the chat. But we are gonna jump back into our other presentation. But thank you, Dr. Leo, again so much for that wonderful presentation. But let me go back and share my slides for you.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Yeah, I think he has another meeting to jump to. But yeah, I mean, some from my point of view, working in this project was so much of a learning experience for me. You know, a lot of different like applications of like even this morning when we had spawns, how to take care of eggs, how to clean them. There's a lot of really interesting moving parts. But let's just jump back into this. Okay. If anybody else has any kind of, you know, plugs they want to, you know, advertise, like where you're from, anybody that joined us perhaps a little later than our beginning introduction, now would be a really good time that we can, you know, see if anyone else new has joined us.
I can go.
Yeah, please. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Let me get it so I can see the grid. Okay, there we go. Hello, everybody. I am Gracie. I work as the coral aquarist for the Turks and Caicos Reef Fund down here in the Turks and Caicos. Yes, we are getting some weather. I had to leave the office early today because of the tropical depression that is over us at the moment. So what I do as a coral aquarist is I'm taking care of the corals that we have that we've rescued from different sites around here, as well as we're holding them for their genetic value because of stony coral tissue loss disease. So it's been documented that we have lost in the Turks and Caicos between 66 to 80% of our hard stony coral coverage, but currently it's actually looking like it's more like 85%. Yeah, the reefs are really struggling here. So currently we have just shy of 200 colonies in our system. We are basically at capacity. My director and I, we are working on getting everything together, and we're hopefully going to be expanding soon. So we'll have a lot more space to be able to hold more corals and to continue to rescue them. And then as well as we'll have some research opportunities. So we actually have all of the equipment that we need to extract DNA, and we just got a Darwin grant. I can't remember if it was local or not, to actually start being able to sequence the DNA as well. And then we'll also be able to, we're looking to expand into raising crabs and urchins to be able to place those back out on the reefs to help with eating the algae around here. And then we're also going to be able to spawn our corals and then place the babies back out on the reefs as soon as they get to about 2 centimeters or 2 years old.
That's incredible work. Please, if you haven't already, please leave your information so we can like follow what's going on. That sounds like a lot of really important and impactful work. Yeah. But yeah,
I put my email down, but I don't have a LinkedIn account. I need to make it, but I've put my email in the chat and I could do it again.
Oh yeah, no, please. Thank you. I mean, hopefully we're expecting to have more meetings like this, so that we can keep in touch, because that's really incredible. Anyone else? No? Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
So for the students that are from UWI that are attending, I am curious to know because I'm assuming you're studying marine biology, what is your interest to learn in aquaculture? Okay, so Bethany says she is actually one of the last cohorts in aquaculture, and she's completing her master's and looking into doing a PhD. And you're curious about the various aspects of aquaculture and how we can fill this gap in our region. What do you want to do a PhD in? So for you guys that are very shy, we host this networking so that, you know, you can get to learn each other. I've met so many people through these networking events. So please, we encourage you not to be too shy to speak up. And it's a very small group. So we want you to, you know, interact with each other and this is really how you're going to get to learn?
Well, honestly, I'm just looking for fielders to see areas that I can do more research in. Hi everybody. My name is Bethany. I'm an MPhil student here at the University of the West Indies. I'm also a teaching assistant here as well. So I just wanted to, I saw Bethany advertise the flyer and I've never been. So I said, maybe let's just drop in and see what they're talking about. So it's interesting to see that you guys are informing students, because I would have been privy to going to some of our various aquacultural farms that we have here. It was not for snapper. We had it for, I think bassa was one of the fishes that we rear here, and they had different what did you call it? I know they have fries and fries, and but we went to the farm many years ago. This is like 7 years ago. We went to the farm and we learned how these fries were reared and how so it was basically a talk from farm to table. So we were introduced to this. So I'm very happy that this experience is now available online for the students.
Oh, great. I hope you'll be able to share it with your students.
I hope one day I will. Yes, I do hope that opportunity will come.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Just to jump in, that's actually one of the initiatives that we're trying to establish with our organization, is like we'll get to a point where we'll have enough students in each country that we can organize some of these farm visits. Because like you said, it sounds like that was really impactful. And I'm sure, being able to see what you're studying in school in real time is
Yes,
even,
it made it very applicable, and it also
Yeah.
introduced a lot of us to different aspects of agriculture that you can venture into, not just, I want to be a farmer and have a fish farm,
Right.
but it provides you with different opportunities to say, okay, maybe I don't want to own a farm, but maybe I want to be a researcher like yourself, and investigate some of the various issues that can affect these organisms. So it was very good for us, and it gave us a lot of exposure as to different avenues that you can look at as not just let's be a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor, but there are other jobs that you can do.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the whole point of what we're trying to accomplish. So I would love to get in contact with you because it sounds like you do really interesting work.
Oh, thank you.
I can
I'll share my
confirm. Devon
email.
is super cool. Super,
Yeah.
super cool.
Very cool.
Hi, Matthew. Thank
Hi,
you.
Devon.
Oh, I have somebody raised.
Delon? Yeah?
Yes.
Hi,
Okay.
good day again. I just want to say I love this initiative. I would say because the Caribbean needs initiative like this. I would have started my aquaculture business in 2021 during the pandemic after I saw an article about the decline in fishing production in the Caribbean. But at the time, I was doing my degree I was pursuing a degree in mechanical engineering. But I got so fascinated with aquaculture. One, it isn't large scale in Guyana. And I was like, you know what? I could do something with this. So I actually went for just a pass credit on the fourth level and I stopped. And I started my aquaculture system with PVC, and basically it was like a patchwork of, it looks something like a Frankenstein aquaculture system, but it worked. And a year after, I got the opportunity of winning Shark Tank in collaboration with the US, and I got funding to really expand, and now I'm at 4,000 fish. But the problem was tilapia isn't the ideal species to farm because one, it's an invasive species, and nothing invasive is going to be sustainable in the long run. And I just didn't want to be an individual that contributed to a greater problem. So I began researching on the species, and I came across the tambaki, which is a slow-moving fish, but it grows really fast, and it has been an interesting journey so far. Because we don't have much of a research center or a main hatchery in Guyana. The government does have a facility, but it's not up to date. It's not fully, how do I say, up to date with information and whatnot. So I went from being just a farmer to a full-time researcher, then basically trial and error, and we're producing a lot of results. So I must say, events like this allows people like myself and others to connect and, you know, so thank you for events like this.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna bring this up, but we are looking for ambassadors for, we have, I think, everyone except for Jamaica, we have ambassadors for. Jamaica, I think Barbados, but we need ambassadors and we need persons in all the rest of the islands and the countries to help us spread the word and keep in touch. So we would love to continue working with you. Is it Success? Am I seeing your hand raised?
Yes, you are. Hello, it's nice meeting you guys. Success from Nigeria. This is Africa. I know I'm not in the Caribbean like you guys, but I really have really enjoyed being here with you guys. One of the things I really loved so much was that red snapper that was talked about. There was a training program I attended at the African Regional Aquaculture Center, and we got to meet a system whereby they culture some of these fish species, let's say snappers and all of that, with some other local indigenous species. So it's something I and my organization have been looking into recently. Currently, I'm the founder of Aqua Bloom Fisheries in Delta State, Nigeria. And I just completed my master's degree. My project was on the ecology of freshwater prawns in the Warri River, which was close to the coastland of the South Atlantic Ocean. So for my PhD, I'm looking at using studying the use of integrated multi-trophic aquaculture systems, whereby I will culture these prawns and other indigenous aquatic plants. And it's very necessary for this region because we experience high pollution. So we're looking at how we could use this system to limit the pollution, regulate the nutrients, and then manage these prawn species. And really, this whole scenario and networking with you guys has really felt lively. And I just really want to say thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was amazing. Yeah, so anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. T, for joining us. I think she had to drop off. I see, let's just go back to some of our announcements, but here a second. Yeah, so like we were discussing, we are calling for country ambassadors. We are calling for representatives for our organization across the region, because we would really love to host some of these like meetups so that students and other individuals in the field would be able to meet one another actually face to face, as well as organize some of these farm visits, because I think those would be so impactful. And I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for someone to gain leadership experience. So yeah, please let us know if you're interested. Just drop your information in the chat and we can move from there. But these are just some of the locations that we still need representatives in. Also coming soon. So I know it's still a bit of ways away. The year is moving very quickly, faster than I expected. It's gonna be like October soon. But Oceans Week 2026 is coming up. We are planning yet another event with Duke Oceans, another collaboration, and we're expecting it to be slightly larger, like more panels. It might be more than one day. We're still working out all the details, but please stay tuned. And that's why it's really important to stay in touch with us, so that you can be notified when we have some more of these different events. Yes, so I believe Dr. Michael Swords was mentioning they have some internships at Virginia Tech as well as the Island School, and they are going to be having some more internships. So please keep if we get your email, we get your information, just keep abreast of that so we can notify you of that. And please, we would really appreciate it if you could just quickly, it'll take you less than 5 minutes. It's just a way for us to know how we've done, because we really would love to do more of these events. We want to keep in contact with you all as much as possible. If you could just, open your camera app, scan the QR code, it should take like 3 minutes just to quickly let us know how we did, what we can improve on, so that the next meeting could be that much better. But is anyone having a question? No? Okay. Well, that's just a survey. And then additionally, if you want some more information on where you can reach us, for students who are interested in joining YCA, this form, this QR code here on the left will take you to a Google form. You can just put in all your information and let us know where you're from, what your age is. And so that we can put you having a WhatsApp group that is active, and that way we can still, talk to one another, ask questions. You can also follow Dr. Julianne on LinkedIn, as well as our Caribbean Aquaculture Education Innovation Hub LinkedIn. We're pretty active on there, talking about events, any kind of seminars that might be coming up. But yeah, we have really enjoyed meeting with you all. Thank you so much for all of you that contributed questions and just comments. We are so excited about this initiative, and we look forward to growing with you guys. So thank you so much.
Geresa, put it to a full page.
Oh, am I not?
No.
Sorry. Hold on. Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry. So please let us know if you guys have any questions or any comments. Did I see another hand raised?
Dylan.
Oh, I can't see.
No, it was a mistake.
Okay.
Well, before we sign off, I'd like to thank our leadership team. Geresa, you did an amazing job. I just like everyone to know that this is the first time that they've put together this event, and it has been very impressive. We did have a lot of people register, and as you know, sometimes you register but don't show up, but this is a recorded event, so you can share it we'll put it on our YouTube, so please follow our YouTube channel, and it's Caribbean Aquaculture Network. If you go on our website, you will see it. And just sign up, and thank you, Matthew, who has been with us from the beginning, and Bethany, who is our secretary and does a lot of our behind the scenes as well. You guys have done an amazing job. And we also have Arthur, who is very shy. He's on board as well. So we just need more Caribbean students. We really would like to see more Caribbean students at these events. I know we tend to be very shy, but it's a networking, and this is how we're trying to get people to see who we are and what we're doing. So thank you everybody for coming. Geresa, Matthew, and Bethany, I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julianne, for allowing us to be a part of this. Thank you, everyone.